And we are live. So, what I want to do is keep you guys up on the last, basically, half hour of the auction for the P61 Black Widow, because, of course, I am excited about that. It's the first time we've ever auctioned off a custom e bike. So, I'm going to bring that up on screen so we can be watching that. It's currently at $3,156, which I'll be honest, you couldn't buy all of the pieces for the bike for that much money. So either somebody's going to get a screaming deal, or in the next 26 minutes and 56 seconds, that is going to go up. My thought is that's probably going to go up from there. But I figured while we're doing the auction, I would just do a kind of a general Q&A. If you guys have any questions about electric bikes you want answered, uh, whatever it is, ask away. I will answer if I can. But yeah, let's get, for those who haven't seen it or for some reason you haven't been paying attention, let's get the P61 up on screen here with us. Just got to click the right buttons here. There we go. Oh, wrong button. And hello, Jeff Scott from New Zealand. That is funny because I know you're not the same Jeff Scott, but I actually have a relative named Jeff Scott, so that's kind of funny. All right. Share screen. Todd, that's a very general question about what is the best full suspension fat tire e-bike on the market. Oh, and hi, of course. Um, Well, I guess, do you have any other specific requirements other than full suspension and fat tires? Obviously, we have a full suspension fat tire bike. Best is a kind of a subjective term, if you will, because some people might think a certain bike is best and it's really expensive. Some people might think a certain bike is best. So mid-drive, that's helping. Cadence sensor or torque sensor, lightweight, power, big battery. I guess I have to ask some question about what are your preferences. So while you're thinking about that, so far from what you've said, our Lancer model is obviously fat tire e-bike, full suspension, 1,000-watt mid-drive motor, and a ton of fun. Those run right about 3,000, so they're a really good value for the power, the full suspension aspect. Now, is it the best full suspension bike that's a fat tire bike? Well, you could spend more potentially, and maybe get something with a torque sensor, or lighter weight. The Hydra that we are just now selling from Watt Wagons used to come in a fat tire bike version, and I would say that probably would have been one of your best bets for a fat tire full suspension e-bike. That would have been amazing. However, the fat tire version is being discontinued, sadly, and just the mountain bike wheel sets are going to be available moving forward. So yeah, that's something that we've been working on. I would love to have a really high-end full suspension, mid-drive, torque sensing, fat tire bike, and we don't right now, but not to say that we won't in the future. So I guess keep your eyes open. The Lancer isn't quite what you're looking for, but if you're looking for lightweight, if you go away from the fat tires, I have some great options. Either the Falcon or the Hydra, awesome, but not fat tires. So that's kind of a little bit of a hole, I would say, that we're missing right now. And I can't say that I've ridden a lot of fat tire full suspension bikes besides our own, just because there aren't that many on the market. Probably some custom builds people have done are pretty cool. But let's see, auction $3,156. Looks like there was a little bit of bidding going back and forth right here. Kind of jump back to the history. So, as you guys can see, back 2 days ago, and thank you, Jeff. Awesome to hear it. Oh, look, is that a kiwi in your photo? That's awesome. So about 2 days ago, the P61 Black Widow was up to about $2,500, and it sat there. And then just today, this morning, 2503 started getting bid back up. 2504. You can see 730. Within seconds, basically, it was getting bid up. Those might have been automatic bids. I'm not sure. And then about a minute and a half later, whoever this person is, I can't see your name there, jumped the bid up about $600. Thank you. I appreciated that. And then it started climbing again from there, just back and forth, a little bidding war here. I know who this is right here. And I know he really wants the bike. We'll see if he jumps back in or if that scared him off. I don't know what's going to happen. But again, we are closing up the auction for the P61 Black Widow here in about 21 minutes. And Todd, sorry I didn't have a great answer to your question of what's the best full suspension fat tire e-bike on the market. I'm going to honestly have to do a little bit of research and see what is out there. You know what? I haven't ridden it, but I'm thinking what might potentially be good is I'm going to go to Google here and look at the Bike Tricks website while we're at it, because I think they might have a model that we are not technically offering, but we can get a Bike Tricks bike for anybody that requests it. There we go. All right. I might have the thing for you, Todd. The Bike Tricks Monte Capro Ultra. So it's a carbon frame, 48 volt, 17 amp hour battery, Bafang Ultra motor, and it can come with, it's an option. This is why I couldn't think of this at first. But it has an option for fat tires. So RST Renegade front fork. I'd have to check the specs on the rear fork. But not having seen it in person and not having ridden this particular bike in person, but just knowing what Bike Tricks does, I bet that's going to be a pretty good bike. I don't know how the weight is going to come out on that particular version. I don't see that on here, but I know that they have the weights of the mountain bike version in their videos and everything. So if you're looking for something right now, definitely would take a look at that one. I do like it. So there's a potential option for you. All right. Auction still sitting at 3156, 19 minutes left. Jeff, yes, I worked and was the Kiwi keeper. Awesome. That's cool. Let's see. Looks pretty good. Can a Watt Wagon controller work on that bike? The answer to that is, could it work? Yes. Is it available right now? No, unfortunately not. That's definitely something that Watt Wagons used to do, and I hope will continue to do, but right now, just because of availability of chips, chipset shortage affecting vehicles, all sorts of things, I don't think that I'm aware of. I don't think they're doing any motors right now. I think they're waiting on those to arrive. So let's, while we're just kind of keeping an eye on the auction here, review the specs for the P61 Black Widow. So it's the Bafang M625, basically a new version of the Bafang BBSHD. And yes, Todd, the only ones to have unlocked the Bafang Ultra. Basically, not yes and no. If you mean like put a better controller on it that's more efficient and more power, they definitely have something unique. Nobody else does exactly what they do. If you buy an older version of the Bafang Ultra motor, it will or can be unlocked speed-wise. But I think with Bike Tricks and everybody else, you're going to see more and more of those CAN bus motors. I don't know what they're using on that bike I just showed you, but that's going to be something that's going to get harder and harder to do as time goes on. So this one is interestingly enough, I showed this in the video. So this is kind of a CAN bus version, CAN bus protocol version of the motor on the P61 Black Widow, but the speed limits can be set at whatever you want. And I assume they kind of had to do that because it's a DIY kit, and you need to. It's a do-it-yourself kit. Like they don't know what you're actually going to use it for, so makes perfect sense to me. No, Todd, the Bafang Ultra always has torque sensing. The BBSHD or the M625, like what's on the P61 Black Widow, that is a cadence sensor, but totally different motor system. And then for stopping, I put 203 millimeter rotors on this particular bike. Again, probably if I had the 246s when I built this, I would have put those on, but we just recently got those. 203s work great. This bike's not that heavy, handles really well. Definitely street use only. Recommended on this. Not an off-road bike. No rear suspension, and street tires. Basically, rolls really, really smooth. But of course, does have that big long travel suspension fork. And yes, the Black Widow goes pretty fast, easily into the 30s. Probably will go faster, but you should definitely lock the speed down to 20 or 28 if you want to ride it legally on the road. Michelin tires, I thought it was cool because they were called pilot pumps. And, we were trying to do this build off of a, kind of model it after a Black Widow airplane, which I guess you guys may not even know what a P61 Black Widow is, because it's not very common. And there it is right here. So this is right here what the bike is named after. And I know that the real thing is not that pretty to look at. um, but it's still pretty cool. Not a very common airplane, but a twin engine. It was all black here. This is a great photo right here. So here's why we call it the P61 Black Widow. All black with just a little bit of red trim on it. And if we go back to the bike, you can see I did the same thing there. Black frame, black grips. You can see like what grips that had like red stitching on them. And it was all just inspired after this particular airplane scheme. So that's why this bike is set up the way it is with the colors that it is. So hopefully that gives people a little history on what we did. I don't know that I've ever seen a plane like that on Indiana Jones. I'll have to review. I'll have to think about that. Charlie Rickman bought a bike from Bolton in 2019. Still love it. Awesome. Great. And I'm glad to hear that. So thank you for buying a bike from us. All right. We're still at 31:56. We're at just 13 minutes left. It's anybody's game at this point. The last few bids were only $1 at a time. So maybe this is what the bike's going to go for. If it is, like I said, somebody's getting a really good deal. You literally could not buy the pieces, let alone all the time and effort that it took to put this together for that amount of money. So just to give you guys some ideas, the motor kit, battery and motor, you're in the ballpark of $1,500. You might find it on sale for some other price, but just ballpark around there. The frames were a few $100s when they came out on their Kickstarter campaign. So we're, getting close to the $2,000 mark with the frame and the motor kit. And then when you get into the brakes, so there's another $150, let's say $150 in the hydraulic Tech brakes and the rotors that are on there. I don't have a good picture of the shifter on here, but I'll just tell you because I know what it is. Which actually I have the specs on the page right here. So it's a SRAM X5 9-speed shifter and derailleur. There's some more money right there. The D&M USD8 fork. This suspension fork on the front. I wanted a triple tree fork very specifically for this bike. And I wanted the travel to be nice and long like this because it gave the right proportions to how the bike looks. And that fork, I'm trying to remember. I think that cost a good $500 just for the fork. That was not an inexpensive piece to buy, but it was well worth it. It was a through axle, like I said, just the whole thing. I think it came out really nice. And then the tires, um, I'm sure there was probably a good $150 or so spent on the tires. And then the rims were purchased individually for the bike because on the rear, we have a quick release because of how the derailleur and everything is set up in the frame. There's some custom parts in there to get that all to work together. But there's several $100 into the wheel sets easily. And then there was some other custom parts. For example, the bottom bracket, and this is on the video where I showed making the bike. If you want to check that out. Oh, did we get a bid? We did. We got a couple. We got 3157, 3158. It's creeping up. All right. Let's see. Let's see what happens. We're down to 10 minutes left now. We're gonna find out really soon who the owner of the P61 Black Widow is. Anyway, got several $100 in there. Spent a little bit on this center stand. If you guys look closely, you'll notice that in all the photos, the bike is perfectly straight and upright because I put a center stand on it because we wanted to go for like the motorcycle look. I always thought that it was super cool, and it's because I had a 1985 Honda Nighthawk 700S. If anybody knows what that is, you might see a little inspiration there. But when it's on the center stand, so what the bike came with from the factory, the rear wheel was off the ground. I always thought that was super cool. Also makes it handy for troubleshooting or adjusting derailleurs and things on the rear wheel when you can just pop it off the ground like that. Small detail, but something that I like. The bottom bracket. If anybody again watched the video, you'll see that I took that into our machine shop and had to turn that down and kind of custom make a piece to make the motor fit for this particular frame. Turned out really nice in the end, but it was a lot of work to get it to function that way. The headlight and tail light. So the tail light, and see, I'm gonna have to pull up some of the videos if I want to show you, but just trust me on this. There's a little tail light right here. That's actually a motorcycle brake light. I kind of have this retro look motorcycle e-bike, so I bought kind of a little retro tail light, and it is a functioning running light and brake light that's on there. Very small, just tucked right under the saddle. Again, just purposefully planned to go for the overall look. And then, of course, the headlight as well is, I don't know what it is, honestly, but it's some sort of motorcycle headlight we wired into the bike system. Works great, really bright. You can actually ride this thing at night. No problem whatsoever. I don't know if you'd want to, but you can. 8 minutes, and we're at 31:58. 197 bids overall. And I started this at $1. I told you guys there'd be no reserve. Remember, this price includes shipping wherever you are, unless you'd prefer to come pick it up. You're more than welcome to do that. But this is shipping Oh, well, I say not wherever you are, but in the lower 48 states. If you're outside of that, if you're in Hawaii, Alaska, or something, you're going to have to pay for the shipping cost because that costs a lot more. But we will cover the shipping in the other 48 states. Let's see, what else did I get on here? I mentioned the leather grips already. Um, but yeah, just I'm gonna kind of miss the bike because it looks cool. Like, yeah, I almost wish I could just have it as like a display piece in the front here. But we just need the space, so we're not gonna do that. I do think that would be cool, but I would rather this is in the hands of somebody who can use it as a display piece, but hopefully go ride it as well. Uh, Printed parts, I think that's something worth discussing. There are a few. The brake switches are something that was custom made specifically for this bike. And then also this headlight. There was no mount on these forks or the headlight for that matter to connect all of that, physically mount it onto the bike. There just wasn't anything for that. So that's something I also designed and 3D printed. So basically, it's this big spacer that's used as part of like the headset spacers, um, or in that area. But it's mounted to the fork, and then it mounts right to the headlight there. Uh, I think it turned out really well. I tried to make as many things as I could on this bike, basically look factory if possible, just so everything turned out nice and clean. 31. Ooh, we got another one. 3160. Yep, we've had a few more. We're creeping up $1 at a time. So we have, let's see, how many different people do we have that have bid on this above $3,000? We're gonna call them DW, DB, a little back and forth, and then we have HS. So it looks like we've got 3 of you that are seriously in the running for this. Who knows? There could be some surprises in there because I know early on we definitely had some other names in here back and forth, uh, getting the price up to this point. But those are the 3 people we got over the 3 grand mark. Let's see. Jeff, this bike you're auctioning, are you going to sell it? If you're asking if we're selling it, the answer is yes, we're selling it right now. So let's close that up. 4 minutes, approximately, we are going to find out who bought the bike, or at least I guess I'll find out. You guys may not get that information. You'll have a first initial, last initial, and you'll know how much it goes for. I wish I could say sorry in 4 minutes. I don't think I can figure out a shipping estimate for Toronto, other than to say that shipping to Canada for bikes can be a little complicated. I'd be happy to do it. We'll arrange it. Of course, you'd be paying for the cost. I don't know what that would cost. You'd have to get a broker to get it across the border. So that's why we don't just normally ship e-bikes to Canada, because the process is a little bit more involved than what everybody is willing to do. If it's a small item, we can ship it and basically it shows up at your door. When it's a bigger item like this and it's hazmat and the freight involved, all the moving parts and pieces that goes into it, basically, it's a little more complicated. So we can make recommendations, but short version is you need a broker and you have to pay them some fees, sometimes a few $100s, to do customs clearance, things like that. So just bid on it if you want, but it will be yours. We will help get it to you if we can. But cost wise, yeah, I really honestly don't know what the quote would be. It might end up costing you, $400 or $500 to get it there. It might cost you more than that to get it there. I wish I knew an exact answer to that, but it can definitely vary a lot. George, pick it up at the shop and ride it home. There you go. Just ride it all the way to Toronto. Easy. Uh, no problem. Just a couple extra batteries. You'll be fine. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for watching. We're down to 2 minutes, 30 seconds, still at 3160. I'm just curious to see what happens from here. So this is a lot of fun. Like I said, I like building things. Like I said, I think I'll miss the bike, but with this weather. Well, it's bright and sunny over here. It's like mid 70s. It's beautiful outside. Which, speaking of which, I think there's somebody outside on a test ride right now. If you're anywhere near Grass Valley, swing by the shop. Come take one of our bikes for a test ride. The weather is basically as perfect as it possibly could be for test rides. So you might as well. All right, we're under the 2 minute mark. We're down to 1 minute, 40 seconds. Could close out those other Black Widow tabs here. If you guys haven't seen them, just for fun, Jory put out a funny auction video about this morning. It's on our YouTube short channel. Definitely check that out. Eric, when are you going to come out with the blah, blah, blah upgrade for the juice scrambler? We have the final prototype thing here. We're just trying to make sure that everything is working properly. And then we'll give the go ahead on production on that. Todd says he's in Indiana. It's 37 degrees. Burr. It's like that at night here. Don't get me wrong. It does get cold here. Definitely not during the day, though. 37 seconds, 36, 35. We're at 3162. Just small little increments in the bids here. We'll see if anybody bids in the last 30 seconds. We've got 20 seconds left. Again, bids at 3162. I have a feeling somebody's going to jump in here. It's got to happen. Oh, man, we're counting down. It hasn't happened. 10 seconds left. 9, 8. I don't know who this is. First name starts with a D. Are you going to be the winner? DW21. And that's it. I think that was the last bid and officially the winner. So it looked like to me that was DW. There we go. The auction has officially stopped. Thank you, everyone, for bidding. Basically, we're going to, unfortunately, sadly, remove this from our website because the one and only P61 Black Widow is now gone. The videos we made on it, of course, will remain. So I appreciate everyone for getting in on the action that did. Let's see. Jeff, I'd love to get a custom leather bag to fit the frame. That's a great idea. I think that would look awesome. Yeah, see, Todd's saying it's supposed to be 50, but windy. See, that's perfect. E-bike doesn't matter about the wind. Anybody complaining about the cold, I will say this. I've been riding pretty regularly to and from work lately. And in the mornings, last week, there were a couple of days, I think it might have been in like the high 20s, definitely low 30s, definitely below freezing when I started in the morning and on the way to the shop. So if I can ride in 30-degree weather when it's freezing cold outside, so can you. Just make sure to dress appropriately. Cover your ears. Full face helmet sometimes is actually quite nice. Keeps your face warm. If you dress correctly, it certainly can be done. Make sure your battery's warm before you go for the ride. Anyway, there's my little rant on that. But anyway, thank you everyone for bidding on the P61. Again, I appreciate it. I hope that it's going to somebody who will really appreciate having something that no one else has. I'm going to sign off for today. Again, nice and sunny out in here in Grass Valley, California. Come by, take a bike for a test ride. It's a ton of fun. I guarantee you will be smiling at the end of it.